Hey, what's up, you guys? This is Gabriel Visiontoon Lamette here. I'm so happy that you joined me for this Motivated Monday segment. I'm really and truly excited, not just about this video, but about this entire week. Because this entire week, we're going to be focusing on things regarding youth and supporting them and what types of structures that I've seen to be beneficial for me as I was coming up, as well as things that I've seen be beneficial to the kids that I work with through the YMCA. And just throughout my life, I've worked with kids from youth groups. I've done motivational speaking to youth, and then obviously what I do here at the camp on an everyday basis when it comes down to the kiddos. And so what I want to do is start this segment off by kind of just talking about the importance of having a great support system in all shapes and forms and fashions. So here we go. Growing up for me, it was one of those things of I really have come to realize how much support I really and truly had around me. It kind of goes with the saying, it takes a village to raise a child. I definitely had that and didn't even realize at that time that that's what I was receiving during my more formative years as being an elementary kid, a junior high kid, then being a high schooler, and then being a college age student. And it seems like every step, every process along the way, I had some sort of support. And so if I'm going to talk about the supports that I had growing up, I have to start with my family first. Between my mother, my father, they always made sure that they supported me with the things that were very important to me. So for me, it was definitely, as you guys have seen before in my videos, the artwork as well as music. And there were things that they did to make sure that I was able to always continue to grow those gifts and move forward and have ideas. But the person I would really want to say really took the time to really nurture that side of my interest would be my grandmother. My grandmother, we call her Honey or Hanny. And God rest her soul, she passed last year. But thinking about the support that I had growing up, she played a major part of it. Because she knew that I was heavily into artwork, there are certain things that she would do with me to help me be able to be within that creative environment. She would take me to museums, and I remember she would take me to the African American Museum down there in Los Angeles, or she would take me down to the County Museum. She sat on their board, and she would have me go there when they had brand new exhibits that would take place. Also, she knew that I was heavily into cartoons. Animation was my thing. So she would make sure that if there was a brand new Disney movie that was coming out, like The Lion King or something like that, she would get us tickets to go and see that stuff at the El Capitan, and she would say, this is your day, which meant that that entire day was going to be shaped and molded to my interests. And so she would make sure she would do that. Then oftentimes on the weekends, like for instance on Sundays after I would get out of church, she would make sure that she took the time that I could come to her house after church, and we would spend time looking at classic cartoons. And when I think about her taking those extra steps with me, it gave me, first of all, something to look forward to. It's something I will never forget. And it helped me expand my mind as far as the creativity and the different types of artwork and interests that there are for creative fields. And so what I would just want to encourage all of you to do is, if you have a child, whether that be a grandchild or your actual child or some child that actually looks up to you, it doesn't have to physically be within your bloodline, make sure that you take the time to support them, because those things that are being able to be set up for a kid when they're in those developed years, it's never going to go away, and it's going to help them hone their skills in and be able to project their interests in ways that if no one's taking the time to understand what their love is, it might not come out and it might not be able to flourish as easily or as quickly. So I just want to encourage all of you, take the time to invest in the youth that are around you. They're not around you just for the sake of them being there. There might be a real purpose to it, and that kid will appreciate it. My next thing that I want to kind of talk about is what my future plans are for my son Grayson. Right now, he's currently 2 years old, and before we know it, he'll actually be three in about a month. And I'm really starting to think about how I want to help lead him and prepare him for the future. There are a lot of things that I feel will be important for him to be exposed to and educated on that I feel like I want to be able to equip him. You don't send someone out into battle without training them or without weaponry. And I want to be able to give him those structured items for life, because as he gets older, obviously life is going to challenge him in those ways. And I don't want him to feel as though he's not equipped or have a support system to be able to take those things on. So what I would say when I think about those types of things would be the following. So the first step that I'm going to be looking to do as regards to Grayson is concerned, now obviously all parents go into their parenthood with this plan, and a kid will just completely slap it out the way and say, no, I'm going to do this to you. But I do want to have something in place so that I can move forward properly with him as me being a dad and him being my son. I want to make sure that I am present enough that he knows that not only does he have a father, but he also has a friend, someone that he can be able to bounce ideas off of, someone that he can be vulnerable with. I'm hoping and praying that he and I do not have the relationship that he's going to just go and disappear in his room every day that he comes home. Now, obviously, there are certain days that that's going to happen as him being a youth and trying to figure things out. But I hope that's not going to be the majority of my experience of me being a father to him. I hope that he's going to be able to see that he has someone who takes the time to be there, that he has someone that's not forgotten him. Even with me having a busy schedule, it is my responsibility to make sure that I don't allow him just to go into those shadows without me noticing it, or he's just on a whole nother mindset and I had absolutely no clue. No job, no work is going to be that important to me that I just purposely forget about him. And so that's got to be the discipline that I feel as though me as being his father, I have to go into, and I know I'm going to struggle with it because life will do that. It'll pull you this way, then it'll pull you that way, and unfortunately your eyes can't always stay on everything that deserves its attention. But I'm going to have to make sure that I start my day with that being the mindset so I can be able to move forward. Now, the next thing that I'm really focusing on and planning is I want him to be financially smart. Growing up the way I grew up, we weren't really taught about finances. There were certain things that we did learn, like the importance of being able to work and be sufficient. I remember as a child, sometimes we would go to work with my father and we would make our little money, and then my mom, she would say, oh, well, you're going to give into the household. And so we would just give a little bit of money, which would help with the groceries or something like that. So that would instill those values in us, which is great. But I want to be able to not just do that with Grayson, but I want to be able to do more than that, as in teaching him about credit and making him understand, because I know that a lot of jokes go out there and they say, oh, African Americans are known for not having good credit. I don't want him to be of that mold. I want him to understand the importance of credit, what will happen if you don't pay bills, how you grow your credit and establish your credit so that you can walk into any place at any time and get whatever you would want. I also want to be able to share with him the concept of saving. A lot of people, they live paycheck to paycheck because they are not saving. They have not sat down and structured themselves. And I want him to be able to be in the mindset of even what I do right now as being a grown man. I give myself an allowance so I can make sure that I have money put away and saved. I make sure that I don't let bills just go. I don't pay minimums on credit cards. And I want to be able to help educate him so that he hits the ground running with a mindset that says, I am on this level and I have to stay on that level, versus taking the norm of people being able to say, oh, he doesn't have good credit. He can't even get financed for a lemon. I don't want that for my son. And so that's where it's going to be important for me not only to show him by my actions, but literally sit down and have those conversations so he has an understanding of what good credit can do for you, and he not make some of the same mistakes that I made quite a bit of my life of just putting a bill off here, putting a bill off there. Now, fortunately, I am in a great place with all of that, but I want to be able to share with him my story of how I was able to reach those things. Now, the third thing that I want to make sure that I am able to express to him the importance of is in education. So many people at this point in life have taken on the approach that, oh, as long as I look it up online, I know everything. That does work to a certain extent. We all look online for information, and that's great. But I don't want him to feel as though he's going to make it in life by graduating from Google University. I want him to be in the position that he understands that, yes, you can have those smarts, but there are certain doors that will not open to you if you don't have yourself in the position to receive it. And that's with a good education. Now, I know the state of education and jobs, it's definitely rocky and shaky, and I get that because I've seen articles on it, I've seen news reports on it where most people, they get their degrees and they're not even able to find employment within those areas. However, I want him to have the best opportunity to get what is supposed to be his. So if I have to pay the money just for him to go into something else where he can say, oh, I do have this college degree though, because there are certain employers that it is something important to them to see that you are able to commit to having an education, and that shows what kind of dedication they might get out of you as an employee and see where you might even be able to grow within their organization. And so I really want to be able to express that to him, allow him to be able to see it. Giselle and I have already started saving for that for him because we want to try and give him the best. We want to be able to try and give him more than we even had coming into this life, as far as once we were kids and into an adult and college, etc. It all goes together. And so that's where I am just planning to try and do this. I hope and pray it works. I hope he has an interest in college. I will always make sure that I talk to him about higher education and actually hold him to a standard of it, because I love my son and I want to make sure that he has the absolute best. So that is everything that I have for this Motivated Monday segment piece. I hope that you didn't take everything that I'm saying as, oh, he feels he has it all figured out. No, I don't, because I don't know what life is going to do. But it would be unwise and foolish and lazy of me not to have a plan in place so that I stay accountable to being what I feel to be a responsible father. And so I just challenge all of you, if you don't have a plan in place for your child or for a child that you do have influence over, start working on those things, because I can guarantee you one day, just as I have experienced through all the different levels and stages in my life, now that I'm older, I really appreciate the fact that certain things were put in place for me, that there were certain people that did hold me to a standard and I had to be accountable to them. And I would just encourage you to be that type of person in someone's life. So thank you for joining me, and before I close this video, make sure that you subscribe and hit a like. And again, I don't know everything. Leave me a comment in this video that might even give me better ideas of how I can be a much more effective and better father, as well as a better example just to all the youth that I work with. Because trust me, out of, over 1,000 kids that come here every single year to the camp, I know that there are certain kids that I may not have reached, and it's simply because there are certain things that I don't know yet. So thank you guys so much. Let's move this vision forward. Let's support our kids, and I'll see you at the rest of this week for Wednesday and Saturday as we get more into things regarding youth. You guys have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.